Rick, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, Keith. I'm fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Yes, go ahead. What do you got for us today?
I was reading a book by Tom Wolfe, who's a favorite author of mine, and he was talking about people who are at different levels of experience and skill in doing investments. And one of the things in this novel he was discussing was how this hero always enjoyed sort of making fun of other people who weren't as skilled and who lost money when he was making all this great money. And he had this sort of egotistical idea that he and only he knew how to play the market. So that caused me to think, okay, you could really apply that to almost everything we do in life. And I wanted to do that with you today and ask you on your pickleball experience, okay, what would you rather do, Keith? Would you rather play someone who is more talented than you, or would you rather play someone who is less talented than you? And now I'm talking about your opponent, not your cohort, your partner on the double side, but the opponent. More skilled or less skilled? Which would you prefer?
Well, Rick, if Keith 1.0 is answering the question, I want the unskilled opponent over there so I can get the win. If it's Keith 2.0, I want the skilled opponent because they're going to push me to grow, and I'm going to have to confront a lot of things about myself, and not just my skill level. I'm going to confront my ego and losing and what it means about me and just all of that stuff. So I'm about to go down that path.
Well, let me throw a little twister in there for you. Even if it's Keith 2.0 and you're really heavily into the practice, would it make any difference if there were, let's say, 30 people watching, people that you respected and wanted to have as friends or were friends? Would it matter if you were playing someone's more skilled or unskilled, knowing that there's a lot of people watching? Would that change your answer?
Rick, it definitely affects my answer. It affects my answer. And the reason that I can say this is because it's not a hypothetical. This has happened.
Oh, okay, cool.
I played in tournaments where I said, this just play your game. This is your path. It doesn't matter if there's anybody else here. The court dimensions are all the same. The net's the same height. And I've been out there with people that are more skilled than me. And I told I'm doing the practice. I'm doing everything that, I've worked on training. It's like, it doesn't matter what the outside world is thinking. It only matters what you're doing. You're out here having fun. Remember, this is a game. Stay present. And the minute that I start missing shots or I start getting tattooed or the person has me tripping all over myself, I start looking to the crowd to see to
You
see
still
how
love me? Do you still
yeah,
love
see if there's disapproval in their face or to
me?
see if they packed their bags and moved on to the next match because there was nothing to watch here. There was a bloodbath going on. So yeah, Rick, this has actually happened to me, and I got to tell you that when other people are watching, even with the practice, I have wanted to be winning. I'd wanted to have a good game, but it really mattered, that I played well in front of other people. Not just for me, it was another dimension that I want to play well in front of other people. And I've since used that as my practice to say, none of this matters. What you always tell me, Keith, none of this matters, and it's all going away. And so when I'm on the court, now that's what I'm thinking when other people are watching. And we play a very competitive game on Monday nights. It's league play. And this league play that we do, it counts against what's called a duper rating. And this lets the other players know what skill level you are. And so my skill level right now is a little over 3.5. And I really am aware of, I've told myself, like, I don't care what the duper is, am I having fun? So I resist of immediately when they post the results going there to see if my duper has changed. I stay away from that. And I just like, you just want to get better every day. And I've actually demonstrated that because based on how well you play and where you end up on the court at the end of that week's play, it determines where you're going to be the next week. And sometimes they don't have me on the right court; they have me on a lower court when I should probably be when I should be on a higher court based on the last week's results. And I don't make a stink out of it. I just go wherever they tell me to go, play with whoever they tell me to play, because I made that more important as my practice. But to answer your question, Yes, it has mattered if people are watching.
The reason I bring this topic up is because it applies to almost every area of our lives. And it's an easy way to look at how involved your ego is in making decisions for you. So as you say, all things being equal, you're playing the same game whether you're in front of a crowd or it's just you and the other fellow or lady. And so the idea is that when you're thinking about the effect that your behavior has on other people, you're trying to manipulate in a way an outcome that will make you look better in the eyes of others. And that's okay to do. I'm just saying that you just need to be aware of that. Hey, I'm doing this because I want to make sure people like me and I don't want to be rejected and I want to be respected. That's a basic thing of human nature. And we all experience that. On the other hand, it can run you to the point
Oh,
where you're not growing. You're not enjoying the game. You're not playing up to your potential because you're trying so hard to impress other people. I'm guilty of that all the time. And I thought when I read this little passage about whether you'd want to play with someone more skilled or unskilled, I had to think long and hard about it. I really did. Because to me, the idea of winning is so ingrained in my work that I couldn't identify with the idea of being a loser and still having self-respect. Now, the way to tweak that is to redefine what loser means. It's
mhm.
not a matter of winning and losing ever. It's
Oh,
always a matter of your inner peace and letting go of those expectations that lead to pain and frustration. So if you have invested in a lot, a lot of, how would you say it? A lot of wishing that people who are watching think you're great. If you've invested in that and you lose, pain and frustration.
oh yeah.
You have no investment in it and you just have fun, you may look like a jerk, you may look like an incompetent, you may look like a loser, quote unquote, but in your heart and your inner self, you're a winner. That's how I look at it. And I tell myself that all the time when I get caught up in the idea of winning and wanting to look good for the crowd.
Rick, I completely agree with everything that you said. And when you mentioned, in your professional life, I can see, as an attorney, do you want the opposing counsel to be as skilled as you or, or not, right? It becomes real for you very quickly
Yeah.
of if your answer is conditional or not, right? But all of that should not even be part of, if you really are committed to being conscious, all of that is irrelevant, right? It's like, am I committed to, as you say, with Kaizen, getting a little bit better every single day?
Mm.
That's what you're working on. You're working on that,
Yeah.
and I really try to do that after I play, a game. I don't ruminate anymore about what obviously I think about, reflect on, here's what I could have done better, or here's what I need to work on the next time I go out. But I don't ruminate over it. What I think about more than anything nowadays is, was I a good teammate? I mean, that is the most important thing to me. And then anything else. When I'm in the workplace, was I a good colleague? Was I available? Did I come to work today? I'm thinking about those things. More than anything else. And so that makes it really easy. It makes it easier not to care what other people are thinking or judges they may be making about whether or not they want to play with you or whether or not they want to work with you. All of that kind of fades away. This goes back to something that you and I both learned in Landmark about the personal self, that at all times it is about looking good or avoiding looking bad. I mean,
Yeah.
that is what's running it, and it was ruining my life. And I can give you so many examples of that when I've gone through financial hardships, of like not wanting anybody to know, about when I sold my first house, about, I saw that and made that mean a failure. Would I've thought it was a failure if no one knew about it,
Mm.
or if I didn't care about people knowing, then I wouldn't have saw it as a failure. But I did. It was that other element of other people's opinion that was really what was defining just an event that it was unfolding in life, or whether or not it was a success or a failure. Why not just have it just be an event? Why not just have it be an experience without all the labels that come with it? And that kind of looking good and looking bad has really run of a lot of my life. I remember one time, on a personal level, this is trivial, but I just remember this really well. I was being meticulous with, I'm pretty meticulous with the way I dress and suits and ties and things like that, and how I carry myself. Now it's not about looking good. It's just like it's that's behavior, you know. I've been doing it for so long. But I remember one time I was cutting my goatee, and this is before I had a beard, and I was cutting it, you know, precisely. Like I'm in the mirror, I'm looking at that is symmetrical on both sides, the whole 9 yards. And I had to be in Prescott to go meet with a client. And so I didn't have any time for any kind of miscues, but somehow I got distracted and I used a straight razor and I almost sliced off a side of it. Do you know that I started calling barbershops to try to get this uh, fixed, uh, you know, to look presentable before I, you know, drove up to see this client? Are you serious? Like, Rick, I had lost an hour trying to go to a barbershop, sit in line with all these other guys to get a cut, you know, on a goatee because there was so much vanity going on. And it's just really interesting, man. And I've seen people do it in ToBeRe. They're like, no, I'm really happy with my weight. Are you? Okay. And then the first time somebody, a stranger, makes comment about their weight, all of a sudden they're in their feelings and their subconscious. I thought you said you were comfortable about your weight. So I think it's part of it could be part of the human condition if you're not working on yourself to really care what other people think. And life has a way, when people say that they don't care, life has a way of really testing whether or not that's true or not. It has a way of doing that. You know, you go to a job and you're no longer the manager, you no longer the chair of the department. You're a staff member. Okay, does the title matter? We'll see. We'll see. So, Rick, you want to close us out?
Well, I think that was a great example, Keith. I really like the goatee story. It's just an example all the time. That kind of thing is an example of how the ego gets involved in messing up our lives. It's not anything that is unique to any particular person. It's part of the human condition.
Yeah,
And even though you're in the practice, it still occurs over and over again. And so I think, as we said many times before, the idea is to monitor what you're being run by. Monitor what your expectations are, because the expectations are the things that lead to pain and to frustration when you don't realize what you think you're entitled to or what you expect. So if we can let go of the desires and we can be present moment to moment, free from the constraints of what other people think or how our ego is running us, life is better.
absolutely, Rick. Rick, I love you. Thank you.
I love you, Keith. Thanks a lot, man. Adios.
Adios.